Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is December 8th, and right now we are looking at the infrared/visible satellite imagery, and you can see our next storm system out here, this atmospheric river, and you can see why it would get the nickname Pineapple Express, as you can see the moisture in the clouds stream all the way down towards the state of Hawaii. This thing's going to plow into the Pacific Northwest again, bring the freezing levels up with it a bit, but it will start to snow across a lot of the mountain areas and maybe even some of the lowland areas as well. We'll take a look at those details here as we go through the video today. It will warm up quite nicely with this atmospheric river, but it's not going to be as extreme as the last round. Taking a look at SeaTac, we've got above average precip every single day so far this month. We set a 24-hour total there record, as you can see, 2.39 there on December 5th. We actually had a 3-inch 24-hour running total in the same time frame there as well at my house. I'm not sure if SeaTac exactly hit that also. But now looking at the day 2 excessive rainfall outlook, it does include the Washington, Oregon coast and some of western Washington here as well. So we're going to get some pretty decent precipitation amounts. Kind of concerned about landslides as of right now as well, because we've had so much precipitation and we've got a lot of steep bluffs and slopes out there, and they've been pretty saturated. Take a look at the day 3. You can see as the atmospheric river slides south, they've got this marginal for western Oregon there. This is looking at the last 7 days. You can clearly see the rain shadow, the effects it has as these atmospheric rivers move into western Washington and Oregon. Much less falls for eastern Washington. Then it picks back up again once you get towards the higher terrain, the Rocky Mountains, some of the Blue Mountains up there in northeast Washington, eastern BC as well. But very impressive totals there. Check out my tweet on Twitter yesterday about how much water fell, up towards 10 trillion gallons, I estimate, here over the last 7 days for western Washington and western Oregon. And you can see we still do have some winter weather advisories out there, some residual showers moving across some of the Cascades out there, dropping a few more inches of snow, and that goes on across the Rocky Mountains there as well, and still have some flooding concerns. And this atmospheric river will bring some flooding concerns with it, but we're not expected to go into major flood stage for much of the area, unlike the last atmospheric river that came through that actually brought some record high crests. If we take a look at last night's European run here, you can see our atmospheric river moving in as we go on in through the day Saturday. And you can see some pretty heavy precipitation at times, rising freezing levels, continues down through Oregon as we go on in through Monday morning, starts to taper off Monday afternoon. And we get a little bit of a break here. We try to bring another system in here. We'll see how much this weakens as it gets towards the coastline here, but some of the models are showing more of an extended break after that. We really need it. It would help us dry out here across Pacific Northwest as this storm system kind of hangs up off the Oregon coast and pushes towards California. But we're looking 8, 9, 10 days off in the future right now. We'll break that down a little bit better as we get closer to that event. Looking at composite reflectivity. So this is the NAM3 cam hot off the press. As you can see, these residual showers going on into the morning hours here, maybe dropping a few more inches across the Cascades. And we wrap things up as we go through the afternoon and evening, but you can see the next round of precip here moving in as we go through Saturday morning. And again, some of this could start to snow, maybe at places like the Kitsap Peninsula where you get some east winds butting up against the Olympic Mountains, and maybe up towards Vancouver Island, not Vancouver Island, but Vancouver, BC, the city out there. And some of the higher terrain across Vancouver Island and BC, Washington will be starting to snowfall as well. We'll take a look at what the weather models have to say on that here in a moment. But you can see this is what the Doppler radar would look like, and you can see that precipitation spreading across and kind of raining all the way on in towards Sunday morning for western Washington, actually continuing on down across Oregon, even further on into the day Sunday. As you can see, the atmospheric river will be weakening, but it continues on in towards Sunday afternoon. Now, taking a look at the precipitable water, so there's the Hawaiian Islands, and you can see Washington there, and this is why it gets that nickname Pineapple Express, because it looks like it comes straight from Hawaii there, and you can see it marching right into the Pacific Northwest as we go through the day Saturday. Kind of a nice visual diagram here of that river of moisture in the atmosphere moving its way into our area. Now, taking a look here, this is total precipitation and the National Blend of Models here. Put this into motion, you can see the residual showers going on in through the day today. Bit of a break, then the next round arrives as we go through the day Saturday. You can see the precip really piling up across the region. There's going to be some rain shadowing, probably a pretty decent cutoff here across some portions of Seattle, up towards Port Angeles there as well, and some of Whidbey Island, a little bit lesser amounts, but big amounts across the Cascades, Washington, Oregon, Vancouver Island, coastal range as well. And as we go on in through, let's stop at about there Monday morning. You can see almost an inch for Seattle, a little bit more for Portland, and some decent amounts down the Oregon coast also. And you can see the big rain shadowing effect for eastern Washington and Oregon. So take a look at the GFS. This is last night's run, and you can see this is the trend here, and you can see that it's been showing up over an inch during this time frame, dropped off off a little bit last night, but it bounced back again later on last night's run, and you can see up over an inch for a 24-hour period there. Pretty good agreement with somewhere around an inch for Seattle. Not going to be great here as far as landslides are concerned, though. This is Astoria. Check it out on the European, about 2 inches on the latest control run there, and this is the European, the trend. You can kind of see how it went down a little bit here, but still calling for about 2.5 inches in a 24-hour period. Now, looking at Seattle-Tacoma, the European agrees there. The latest has about 1.14 in a 24-hour period. But now, looking at the NAM3 cams, this is 80-meter wind speed. If you look here, once the system starts to approach, we get this southeasterly and this easterly wind. That's what could help kick some lowland snow here across maybe the Kitsap Peninsula. But some other areas are actually showing a little bit of snow trying to fall here as we go through Sunday morning. But it's not going to be high impact, and things are going to warm up very quickly as we go through Saturday evening coming up. Maybe a little bit of snow for Vancouver as well, but it's going to be very marginal at best. Some gusty winds with these systems as well. Also, let me back that up and kind of show you. You can see these gusty winds approaching the coastline here, some of the northwest interior also as we go through the day Saturday. Now, looking at total snow ratio Kuchera in inches, and this takes into the lower levels of the atmosphere's temperature, or at least it tries to. It's not just a blind 10-to-1 ratio, but you can see some of that snow trying to pile up here. Maybe a couple inches of heavy wet snow for some areas across the Kitsap Peninsula. You can see Vancouver getting a little bit of snow as well. And then you can see mainly north of I-90, some accumulating snowfall there across eastern Washington, Oregon, and some nice amounts here, at least initially with this storm system, until we go into Sunday morning, and then things are going to warm up a bit, and we will have some melting of that snowpack, but it won't be too extreme, not like the last round. I mean, look at that. Even the NAM shows a little bit of wet snow mixing in for maybe Seattle and Everett out there as well. We'll see if that comes to fruition. It's an extremely marginal event. There's not much cold air to work with. So looking at total snow Kuchera ratio on the European actually shows some of this as well across the Kitsap Peninsula and up and down the Puget Sound. I know maybe it'll mix in a little bit on some of the higher hilltops. Better chances for eastern Washington, as you can see, mainly I-90 north. Taking a look at the high-resolution model, the UW model here. So let's put this into motion. You can see the residual snow wrapping up today, a few more inches across the Cascades. And we go on into Friday night. Now we're into Saturday morning, and you can see some of that snow across the Kitsap Peninsula starting to show its face there, Vancouver. And it actually shows a little bit trying to get towards the lower elevations of the Puget Sound. Again, not a high-impact event out there, but it might be nice to see some snowflakes across some of the higher hills out there. And then you can see that band of snow moving across eastern Washington as well. Now, looking at the snow depth in inches, here's the European as of last night. And it does show that initial system starting to build up some of that snow across the higher terrain there. But then you notice we get a little bit of melting there as we go through Sunday with the rising snow levels Sunday morning here. So that's going to increase some of the hydrological concerns with some of the rivers and streams again. But again, not as dramatic as the last round. Here's a snow depth, a little bit closer look here. So as we go on in through Saturday, you'll see that snow pile up across some of the Cascades. But then it gets eaten away at a little bit there. So that's that cause for concern there as we go through the day Sunday. And look at some of these models. If you see some of this stuff showing up, I mean, again, this should not be a big impact event. The National Weather Service doesn't even mention the snow at all. So don't start looking at raw data here in the models and say, oh my gosh, we're going to get 6 inches of snow at Bremerton, the national airport out there, because that's highly unlikely. You might see a little snow mixed in and a little bit sticking out there at times, but it'll be short-lived no matter what. Seattle-Tacoma, I mean, even the latest European shows 2.4 inches. You know, that's just not going to happen. You're not going to get that snowfall here as we go on into the day Saturday. But yeah, maybe some of the higher hills will show some of the mixed in a little bit of that snowflake activity. Now, GFS last night. So we're going to look off into the future a little bit here also on the GFS. You can see our atmospheric river plowing on through there, and it moves out as we go on in through the Monday night, Tuesday morning time frame. Then another weak system is falling apart by the time it gets to the Pacific Northwest, and then we get kind of that break. The GFS is a little bit more northerly with this system as we go on in through the 8, 9, 10-day time frame, but plenty of time to work that out as of right now. And then it continues to show maybe some systems coming through the mid portion of December. So you can see there's not great agreement with that dry streak coming just yet. So we'll be keeping that in the back of our mind. Plenty of time to worry about that as we go over the next few days. This is the landslide potential. You can see you got Tacoma Narrows and you've got SeaTac out there. And we're going to drop some more rainfall out there as well. So it's always all good till it's not, because it's tough to tell where any kind of landslides are going to occur. But of course, it's going to be on the steeper bluffs and whatnot. But we got plenty of those across the Pacific Northwest to worry about. So that's kind of the concern coming up here. And then we've really set the stage. So we do have another heavy rainfall event as we go through in December or even January. We could really have some big problems also. But as always, we'll be ready for that if it does happen. This is looking at the day 5 precipitation anomalies as of yesterday afternoon on the European. You can see that atmospheric river kind of showing up here. Now watch what happens as we scroll a bit off into the future there. You can kind of see that deficit as we go through the mid portion of December. On some of the latest European model runs pretty dry here. But we'll see how that trends. As you saw, some of the GFS was not in full agreement with that, but something for us to watch over the next few days. So anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. We'll continue to watch this roll in here tomorrow. I'll do my normal briefing tomorrow. Click like and subscribe. Hope you guys are having a good day, and I'll talk to you guys then.